you're asking confidence. Like, I don't know how to answer a confidence question. The only answer I had is, I don't want to be the pussy that backs out. I was like, I know that after,
Don't be the
don't be
pussy.
like, I know that afterwards I'm going to feel good. I want it to be afterwards right now. That's what my brain was saying. I was like, I want this to be done. I cannot let myself quit.
Welcome to Extraordinary. As always, I'm your host, Forbes Shannon. With me is
Christine Butler.
And today we have a jack of all trades in studio. He is a very successful entrepreneur. He is an author. He is a pilot. He is a men's league hockey superstar. Our good friend Keith Mitnik is here. Keith, thanks for being here, man.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Keith, you have such an extraordinary story. I don't really know where to start, but I guess we can start with the nomination process because, to be on the Extraordinary Show, you have to be nominated. You were nominated by both me and Aaron, and I'm gonna see how you think Aaron and I and like what our relationship has been.
My relationship with you two, or you and Aaron's relationship? What do you
how do you know Aaron? Let's start there.
Let's see. I got introduced to Aaron, what was it, 3 or 4 years ago, through Forbes. And I had just written a book, and you and Aaron had just written a book, and you wanted me and Aaron to. You're like, you are two similar people, and you guys should meet. So we met for lunch, and it was really awkward. It was like an uncomfortable date.
Were you there?
He was
there.
He was there. Aaron was very prepared. He had read my book.
I
I believe I had a copy of his. I didn't. I didn't do that latter part, but yeah, it was a very serious meeting, and then eventually everything softened up. And at one point, because I wrote the book, I was talked into doing improv with Forbes and Aaron, and I think that really fostered a relationship of just being really goofy together.
Yeah.
We were doing it 1 week.
How'd you get into improv? Yeah, let's start there.
All right. Well, again, that's your fault. But so I was at a lecture, and the premise of the lecture was write a book. If you want to be the authority on something, write a book. And I leaned into that. I spent about 12 months writing a book. And then I thought, okay, now what do I do with the book? And the idea was I go on a speaking tour. And I wasn't doing a lot of speaking. So Forbes came to me and said, hey, let's do improv comedy. And it really scared the hell out of me. But it seemed way harder than just speaking about something I was already a subject matter expert on. So I was like, what better way to flex that muscle and work out than do a hard speaking?
Yeah.
So I joined you, and you had roped in a few other friends. But it was you, me, and Aaron that really made it. And we actually surprisingly got pretty good at it.
Yeah.
And it was fun. I mean, you call it 3 semesters of improv class. We took our show on the road. We won a few competitions, and it just created a medium in which to just kind of have fun with our friends.
Yeah, right. And having fun, I mean, that's the bedrock of Extraordinary. Right. But Keith, you have a fun life in so many different ways. We'll get into business in a second, but you are like a fun junkie. Yeah. And you're always hopping around to a new hobby. So Keith and I met playing hockey 13 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's been a long time.
Long time.
I actually officiated his wedding.
No way.
Yeah. And when we were working on the script, he's like, this is my wedding, dude. Stop calling him bits.
Remember that?
You did a bit at his wedding.
He called everything a bit. I was like, this isn't a show.
This is my real life.
You're doing a wedding, and they're not comedy bits.
Right.
But you just find a way to have fun in all sorts of different ways. Like,
very true.
How long have you been flying?
I think I'm a little past 2 years. Actually, I know that because I have to go tomorrow to get my medical certificate again. You have to get that every 2 years. Yeah. So a little over 2 years, because part of the journey, you aren't required when you're with your instructor. But yeah.
So what does it say about you that your hobbies and your fun are extreme things like getting up on stage and doing comedy, or getting in a plane and flying it, or putting on skates and playing hockey at 10:40 at night? What does that say about you that your hobbies are geared that way?
Yeah, I don't know. I look back and, my thought is I just do stupid shit.
Or you do extraordinary shit.
Yeah,
It's extraordinary.
It's extraordinary.
I mean,
It doesn't make sense.
you
So,
have a very long history of a lot of success, but in between all of those successes, you're doing wild, crazy things, right? There's got to be some type of balance in between the two, right? You take it to an extreme at work, take it to an extreme with your hobby. What is that in you?
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, going back, I mean, some of these things, hockey. I just started at 25. We were just playing roller hockey in a parking lot, and it got so big, like everybody would join. And then one of the guys said, "Let's take this to the ice." I didn't even know what the rules were. I didn't know what icing was. I didn't know any. I just know you kind of hit the puck towards each other, and I know what a goal looks like. But now I've been playing that 25 years. Going back, before just wakeboarding's always been my passion, and before that, I was telling you the ridiculous story when I started college. I show up at college, and I'm in the engineering school, and I'm from Tempe, going to college in Tempe. I didn't join a fraternity. I had brought a lot of friends, with me that were in college, and like the first week, I was like, "Hey, I want to go do something extra too."
Yeah.
And I just look on the boards, and I saw there's a lacrosse team, and I also saw there was a rugby team, but I saw the lacrosse one first, so I just joined it, and I didn't know how that game worked either. And it's fine. I broke my leg the first week playing lacrosse.
But it sounds like you're using a lot of curiosity in your decisions, right? You're curious about all these sports. You might not know it, but that curiosity is leading you forward. Did you see those same things in business?
Wow, I mean, I think you want the answer to be yes.
I want it to be yes.
Yeah, I am so conservative in business. I bring, I've never really thought about it until now, but I think I bring curiosity to the rest of my life. And maybe because in business, I want that on lockdown. I do want to think about everything, but I'm very, very conservative. When I started my company, and I imagine you want to get into that later, but 20 and a half years ago, and I had a very structured business plan. So I had a baby and one on the way, and now I had zero income, and we have a long runway. Our business plan had about 20 months till we had income. So not the most ideal time to start a company when, you've got one and one on the way to deal with. And it's a large time commitment and zero money coming in. But my business plan was...
But why did you choose that moment? Like, and you write about it in your book, Why Change, which we have on the shelf right up there.
Right, Vanna White.
Thank you, Vanna White.
Available on Amazon if anyone's listening.
Go purchase the book
Available on Amazon, Why Change by Keith Mitnik. You tell a little bit of the story in there, but what you did, you felt like you had to jump into that. And what was that?
Okay, yeah, great. Jump into it, or I was pushed. So let's say I'm standing on a cliff, okay, and up on top of the cliff, I'm employed at a public company, getting a paycheck, and then all of a sudden I was no longer employed. So I felt like I got a nice little shove off of a cliff, and now we're down here. So the company I was working for, and not because of me, but it did go under. I was actually running a business unit. It was the only profitable part of the company, but I was running basically a company within the company. And so now I found myself less employed than I used to be. And now it's like, well, how do you climb back up? So I didn't jump. Well, I didn't intentionally jump. I was pushed. I was pushed. And now it's like, okay, which direction up do you want to go back? And I looked for a job, and that lasted 2 weeks because I think my demands were ridiculous. I didn't have the heart anymore to do it.
So to help us understand what you do, explain the business. What is the business that you got forced into?
I chose the business, and it was, in electronics, we, manufacture and design and distribute small format LCD displays. So things like the display on your cell phone, but it would go into any kind of industrial product, like golf carts, medical equipment, alarms. Everywhere you see a display,
that's Keith.
Yeah, there's companies like me. The most common one, it's easy. It's the smallest one we have, but the LK water fountains that you see out there, with the touchless. It says this many bottles.
Got the gem when you flip the water bottle.
Okay, that one's ours. It's a very small example, but that's the one
everywhere.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that helps people register what we actually do. So I was doing that. I became, very good at that, and then now I'm at the bottom of this cliff, deciding, how I think I'm 29 years old. How am I going to go back up? And I looked for a job. And then because I was doing this sort of on my own without a lot of support from, the parent company because they were busy doing other things, I was like, I'm just going to give this a shot.
Okay. So when you say that you were looking for jobs and you didn't have the heart for it, what does that mean?
So I remember talking to another display company and we're going back and forth and my demands were ridiculous. I think my salary requirements, they were a California company and I had no intent on moving. I was pretty strict on how much I was going to travel to them.
Yeah.
And, it's like, okay, we're not going to build our company around you, So, so I said, well, maybe I should build a company around me then. If you don't want to build it around me, I'll do it.
Take a chance on yourself,
Yeah.
right?
I called Keith every time as I was reading the book. I laughed out loud because what Keith does is he takes, for lack of a better way to explain it, so maybe some dry content and you make it very human, you make it very funny. And one of the lines was, as he was talking about starting his business, is that him and his business partner got together and they looked at their, at their company and they realized they had no customers and they decided, well, we should have more than no customers.
That is one of our foundational businesses.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
Reasonable. Yeah. And fast forward to today. Keith's company is monstrous.
Yeah.
I watched Keith go down to the football field at Arizona State during halftime of one of the games to be recognized because his company's put him as top 10 alumni by revenue.
Wow.
Yeah. It's just a really extraordinary story. And so my question for that, Keith, is as you were building this and building kind of your understanding of it and your own way to articulate it, you kind of became by necessity like an expert in the field, right? And you have distilled it down to there are these 5 problems that you have every time, right? And maybe it actually will help a little bit more if we explain that the book Why Change is about changing your supply chain person. Is that correct?
The book is about it's changing your supply chain partner. What company are you working with? And at the time I was writing the book, I happened to be going through a relationship restructuring as well.
Okay.
So I was going through a divorce, and a lot of the philosophies and fundamentals were very similar between the two, and it really takes alignment, and it's deciding what that alignment is, and it comes down to, should I stay with this partner? This partner is supplying me something, and there's an exchange here. And should I change? Why should I change? And why not? And there's reasons not to change, and there's reasons to change. And if you could distill them into something very simple and basic, then you can figure out, should I? And then, okay, let's say the answer is yes, I should change. How do you actually do it? How do you do it in a way? Again, if I could go to the divorce, it's one of the most painful parts of my life, and probably most people, just hands down. And it's something you'd rather probably not repeat if you could, so it deserves some energy. How do we go into another relationship and have it be successful? And it's the same fundamentals on why you would change is why you pick the next person. So, for displays and a lot of components, it just came down to 5 key areas that needed work. And very simply, I'll get it. It's cost, delivery, quality, performance, and then obsolescence. Those things, cost is actually the least important. Everybody will say it's the most important, and it's hard as a supplier to say it's least important because people get very uncomfortable. Like, oh,
Right.
you're going to charge me too much. But you don't change over cost. A 10%, if you're paying 10% more than the next person in my industry, when everything's custom and everything's very difficult and there's so much more intrinsic value in the relationship, you're not changing over 10%. A lot of times you're not changing over 50%, but you're changing when your part goes obsolete and you can no longer supply this. It's gone. Your production line stops. If your delivery is unpredictable, your production line stops. If your quality is poor, your production line stops. If your performance is low, your customers stop buying from you. So all those are very serious. Cost is the least, but cost is important, and that shows up when you're now picking the new one.
And so that the same goes for relationships, you're saying, right?
It's finding that alignment. What is important to you? So what's important to Boeing putting displays into their aircraft versus Ford versus the iPhone versus a small handheld video game to medical equipment. Everybody's actually got different needs. Your volume and the type of industry are two of the biggest definers of those needs, as well as the technology. Is this an OLED display? Is this a color TFT display? Are you using black and white monochrome? So it's kind of fitting.
Yeah, and it takes such a creative mind to marry those two ideas, right? Business and relationship.
Yeah.
It takes a very creative mindset to find syzygy between those two things. So you were obviously building a business, going through your own human things, and you still made it out extraordinary, right? So what is your future looking like? I mean, you have a successful business, you have all the freedom in the world because of it, and you're an amazing human being. What are we doing next?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, so and gosh, when people ask that, what are you doing? What's your plan? And you feel like everybody should have it figured out. And I don't know. I think it's a really rare thing when everybody's got it figured out.
Absolutely.
I've been on this path to just refine this business and get it running very well, and a business that runs well starts to get very autonomous. One of the things we've done in our business, the other part of the 5 problems that I just talked about, the one thing that makes our business so unique and that applies to every other business in the world is really being selective about who you're working with.
Yes.
That applies obviously for relationships.
Yes.
There's a statistic out there that 20% of your customers make up 212% of your profit. And when you unwind that, it's staggering that it seems 80% of your customers you're losing money on.
So say that again, 20%?
20% on 20% of your business is making up about 212% of your profit.
So then that 80%.
You're just losing money on. And it's hard to see because maybe your contribution margin is supporting it. You're like, well, I sold this for $55. It only cost me $45 to make it. But if you look at all your overhead, your sales, everything involved, and your, possibly your interest and you're upside down. So,
well, I think if you were to look at that in terms of like relationships in your life, like in energy, right? I bet that rule holds true. 20% of the relationships in your life give you 212% of your energy.
Yeah.
And the other 80%
That's a really good way to look
just
at it.
drain the hell out of you.
Right. And what should you do with that other 80%?
And what do you do with that other 80%?
And how do you maintain the 20?
Those are great questions. Well, let me begin. Okay. So for the 80 that you're either saying no to or don't let in, it's kindness and support and help. So,
and where do I fall?
We'll see after this interview.
How good are you going to make them look?
Yeah, we're 13 years into our relationship, so we're doing pretty good.
Yeah. So you're trying to figure out who to let in and who not, right? That's what you were saying.
No, I don't think that you figure it out. I think you know.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not. I mean, you can feel it. If this is dating, you could feel it.
Yeah.
We're gonna go all over the place, but I always like the concept of dating in parallel, not in series. It's just way more efficient. And one of the coolest things I always tell people, and I've kind of gone through this, is your phone's in your pocket, it's on silent, all of a sudden it vibrates. You got a text. Maybe you're seeing 3 different people. Who do you want that text to be from? Yeah, that tells you everything you're feeling and thinking. So
And if you don't want that text to be from someone. Right?
Yeah. And if replying is like, hey buddy, how's your day? And you're like, it's good. How's your,
Fine.
Yeah, it's great. When it becomes work, when a reply is work and not like, oh my God, I can't believe you checked up on me. That's so cool. So.
And it goes to like the energy, right? Like who's draining your energy and who's giving you energy.
Yes. Yeah.
So then as it relates to the 20, how do you keep that 20? Like, how do you give back to that 20% that gives to you?
Well, I think you have so much more. So going to the 80 that we're getting rid of. So going back to business, hey, here's some suppliers that are going to be much better for you than we will, because they will. I know. Well, one, I'm turning you down. So, but the reality is there's better suppliers for you. We don't do aerospace. We're not specialists in automotive. And so they're going to understand the specifications better and the quality systems to support you. So that's that. And then it comes back to the 20, and that actually is sort of self fulfilling. How do you support the 20 better? You know how much more time you have? It's like when my customers call me, sometimes they'll start rattling off part numbers. It's like, I don't need your part number. I know who you are. I know what you're buying.
Wow.
Because I have, fewer customers. I have time for you.
Yeah. And people love that feeling.
We're not overwhelmed. We respond, in our sales process, you could put in an inquiry online and a human will reply probably within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, it's usually 5 to 10 minutes, and it could be even faster because we have the time.
So as it goes to that selectiveness and the alignment, like what role do you see trust playing in both business and in life for you when it comes to these relationships?
Well, trust is huge. Gosh, from a business, I still am, honored by the trust that our customers put into us. I think a lot of people don't quite understand
Explain those stakes.
the world we live in. So, most people are not in supply chain or custom electronic component supply chain. So you think, okay, I'm building a product, and let's say the battery, a AA battery goes obsolete. You go get one, you were using Duracell, and now you can go to Energizer. The product that we're building is custom for every single customer. If we shut down our product, we just go obsolete, we just decide not to ship anymore, it's going to take them about 9 to 12 months to tool this up somewhere else, get it perfect, get it qualified, make sure there's no problems before they're back into production. So they could have stopped production for 9 months. So we have to make sure that we're doing our job and that we're seeing everything down the line, that there's anything going to obsolete this part, we're getting in front of it. And we have a lot of tools to get in front of it. It's, this is what we do day in, day out. We actually solve this problem for other people. So it's real easy to solve it for ourselves. So we solve for obsolescence. And it's, if we see any component, we will, put a last time buy that component. We're working on the alternate. We're getting that requalified. We could be stocking entire display. We're doing everything so that we know there'll be a seamless transition to something in the future. So our mission statement actually follows as real simple. It's like, we never let our customers go lying down. So everything just goes back to that.
Okay.
And it makes sense in manufacturing, but it just means, okay, here's your assembly line. If you don't have a component, it stops. You're building a speakerphone system with a display. There they are, they have the speakers, they got the microphones, they got the buttons, they got the plastic hardware, your main single board computer, but no display. You can't sell that, right? You can't ship it. You can't package it. Everything stops. All your sales stops. Your potential customers go away. Your factory is inefficient. You got to, workers are standing around. You're missing your revenue numbers. So
you could they could go out of business.
It could go out of business.
Right. So the trust that they have is insane.
It's insane.
Do or die.
Yeah. So we learned, this is just kind of sales of what a pivot, we used to do outbound sales. That world has changed. Outbound sales doesn't work anymore in our industry. But inbound comes with credibility. I didn't reach out, I didn't cold call you per se. So you've done your research and you found us. So that comes with, credibility.
You need a little reputation for that, right?
Yes.
To really sustain.
Really important. And that's where, the book comes in too. And we're promoting that and trying to get that out there to help people. And it just says how to go about the supply chain change process. And it doesn't mean end with us. Because again, we're saying that for 90% of you, we're not the right one anyway. But we're saying how to figure out the right one. So we're out there trying to help people do that, and that helps people feel more comfortable too.
So do you find that there's more trust when you say no to somebody? Like if you say, hey, I'd love to help you, but these people are better.
Oh, definitely. There's definitely more trust, but I think at that point, the trust isn't quite a currency because it doesn't help. I really need the trust when we're going to work together. It doesn't, the trust doesn't matter, but sure, of course, that's going to give trust. I'm clearly saying, here's what we're good at, and we're not the best fit for you.
Yeah, sure. So it seems like your company really represents your values and your integrity. Was there a moment where you just realized, and maybe it was the cliff analogy that you used earlier or something, where if it was out of balance with you, it felt inauthentic?
Oh, I don't know exactly how to. I have a business partner, so he and I are very collaborative. We go over everything, and ethics and trust, and just the long game. So our sales cycle, from the time we start talking to a customer till we're, profitable, like actually have cash flow on that is, it's usually 18 to 24 months. So it's a long,
Wow.
long process. So, we've been in business for 20 and a half years now. I've been doing it 5 years before that. So 25 years. And actually our very first customer from 20 years ago, we're still selling displays.
Oh, wow.
And
So he's part of that 20.
yeah.
You guys are married.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, running a business there's so much work up front. So designing, sales, and when you can keep a customer that long, it actually reduces the workload on your entire organization. So now you just focus on, executing the operations and keeping them happy. And that's a lot easier to do, if you're the right fit for that customer
Sure.
than going out and getting a new customer and getting that, that's a lot of work getting a customer. It's a lot of work designing that product correctly. It's a lot of work qualifying it and then working out any issues for production. And every customer gets a unique display. We don't sell, in our world, we're not selling the same display to 2 different customers.
So then, I think what's interesting, just from a personal level, right, is the value that you hold in your network. I mean, you're a super connected dude, and you have a lot of people that you're a sociable guy, but you do have this quality, and Aaron and I have both talked about it. Like when you're just one on one with someone, it feels like you just know everything about them, and so, you know, as it relates to like being a successful entrepreneur, I guess what I'm kind of getting at is I don't think that's a typical quality for an engineer.
Yeah.
So like, Aaron and I have both noticed that. How did you cultivate that?
Huh. Yeah, most engineers aren't known for being able to do that unique trick like hold a conversation, things like they usually want to work alone. Man, I think I don't know if this goes back to you had asked me a question once and you said, "Hey, why'd you get into comedy? Like, why do you like comedy?" And I never thought about it, but the answer just came right to me. I was like, well, I remember being a kid and making my parents laugh and like how good that felt. And, I love, making people laugh. And, I look for opportunities and sometimes it's pretty inappropriate in these professional meetings, but sometimes I should be thinking about the content and I'm just thinking of bits and what's going to be funny. And I'm trying to do both. So I'm trying to multitask, but I don't know, something about that just, brings so much joy. And, I think, I think maybe that's where that comes from.
So what's it like? Because you and Aaron are both serious business people. That once like people can sometimes see what like maybe they have to see the other side of you to realize that you're both like really funny people. Like, what was it like meeting Aaron and kind of realizing that you guys had that same thing in common?
Yeah, I mean, it was nice because Aaron, he and I do improv together, but I think our comedy is so different. It's interesting. You, me, and Aaron are radically different. Like you said, I'm very dry. I'm very sarcastic. I just try to, I just play that straight man line. It's like this is how a normal person is going to operate, and and then Aaron has this larger than life kind of persona when he's when he's in that comedic zone and just a lot of energy. And I'm just looking for, these little angles of, what's real funny about this unique situation? What's really unique about this situation that how would a normal person react in this situation that's really abnormal? And that's what makes people laugh is when you kind of stay like in that
It's like the truth a little bit, right?
Yeah.
You're making the truth funny.
You can
or it's
relate
funny
to
because
it.
it's the truth.
Because they're like, oh, I would feel that way too.
Right. Right. Well, I will say that what you guys all have in common is your confidence and the bravery of just standing up there and doing comedy. I think comedy is the scariest thing. I could never get up on a stage and just do improv. Scariest thing in the world for me. And you guys just get up there and you make everyone laugh by just being you guys. Like that is an extraordinary thing.
So where does your confidence come from, Keith?
I mean, in general, or just it's people think confidence means you're not scared. You just said it was scary. So I mean, here's a story, and you know it. We're 3 or 4 weeks into improv class, and we're basically mumbling words. We're pretending to catch an axe back and forth. We're at level 0 improv.
Yeah.
And then we're at hockey. I'm going to mix all these stories up. And Forbes is like, "Hey, I got a gig for you next week." I was like, and I thought,
2 weeks in.
yeah, I thought he was kidding. And he was like, no. It's in front of 250 business people. Ask any comedian what their worst nightmare is. It's like,
a room full of CEOs.
Yeah, I'm gonna go do stand up at a heavy metal concert in the middle of a concert and just shift everybody. And it's like, wait, 250 people, and they're like business people and peers, and we're gonna do this thing we don't even know how to do. Literally that week, okay, I was so uncomfortable. I was like, so you're asking confidence. Like, I don't know how to answer a confidence question. The only answer I had is, I don't want to be the pussy that backs out. I was like, I know that after,
don't be the pussy.
I know that afterwards I'm going to feel good. I want it to be afterwards right now. That's what my brain was saying. I was like, I want this to be done. I cannot let myself quit.
Yeah.
So I don't know what confidence I think is after you've mastered something. So it doesn't apply in doing anything new. How do you have the confidence to start a new company? Well, if you talk to a serial entrepreneur, they've already gotten the confidence by having the courage and practicing and then learning that task. That's when you get confidence. So I think the question is, how do you be brave?
Yeah.
When you have a baby and one on the way and no income. And I think the bravery comes in, for me, it's 2 different ways. So as a business person, and in that instance, as a about to be entrepreneur, I had planning. So I had a plan, and my plan included a very detailed CAD. I'm an engineer. Everything's written out. How many customers did I need to have talked to? Like, there's steps before revenue. Have I engaged with customers? Are we talking about specific displays? Is the website up and running? Where's my supply chain standing? And do we have everything fit? And I had 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, all these things. And if I didn't have them, it was pull the cord and we go. Shorten that. If you have a business that's not going to get off the ground, the faster you kill it, the better off you are. Know it up front.
Yeah.
And I get so frustrated with other businesses that are lazy.
Yeah.
Do the work, figure out what that looks like.
Yeah.
So that's where I do it on the business side. And then on the personal side, I look for other things like, hey, we're all in this together. Maybe this was Forbes' idea. This is Forbes' fault if it failed. But it's still hard. And you have to, I think, have courage.
Yeah. Be afraid and do it anyways.
Yes, because we're all afraid. We're all afraid the first time you've managed a person, hiring a person.
The first time I was on a podcast.
First time doing podcasts. It's scary.
It's scary.
First time flying with you was scary for me. It's funny because I did think about that time where you were sweating bullets before that show. And I'm thinking about this as I'm in the plane that Keith's flying, just me and Keith. And I was like, this is the guy that was afraid to go on stage, and he's about to take off this airplane. And then on the landing in, one guy cut in front and was a little close. And I'll never forget, Keith goes, I don't like this. I was like, well, if you don't like it, I hate it. So the courage, and now 2 years into flying, if that's a metaphor, right? Now you fly on your own all the time. You fly recreationally. You'll go spend a weekend in California. He'll go to Sedona for lunch every once in a while. He's like, that's a crazy flex, by the way. Yeah. What'd you do today? My buddy flew me to Sedona for lunch. Yeah.
we did that one on Saturday, and I looked up my logbook because I always see the same waiter there. I was like, it's 36 times now I've landed. Flying is a great example of, my first solo, absolutely terrifying.
Really?
Like, I've done it, and my instructor's 71 years old, and we're at Wickenburg, and I knew it was time. He brought his little radio with him, so I knew what that meant. I knew, he's like, okay, pull over here. We're at Wickenburg. And I'm like, are you sure? So now here's all the, you're talking about confidence. You can't have confidence for flying an airplane by yourself because you've never done it.
Yeah.
How good am I at making a baby? I've never done it. I have no confidence. Actually, that one I've less because I think science says I can't. But you might have to edit that. But But yeah, so I remember it's then having it's kind of relying on the other people around you. So, I go to Vic. I was like, "Are you sure?" I still remember what he said. Very inspiring. He said, "Well, you can be a little girl and have me fly with you everywhere you go, or you can
This is inspiring.
you can get out of the airplane." I said, "Now, Vic, look, I've never done this before. You see people all the time. Are you sure I'm ready?" And he's like, "I'm not getting out of the airplane if you're not ready."
Wow.
So I think confidence or courage comes from trusting
Yeah.
someone else. So Vic was an expert in this. He was an expert in getting people ready to fly an airplane by themselves, and I was trusting Forbes and, hey, I do comedy. I think what we're doing is funny enough, and this was Venture Cafes. Like, you own Venture Cafe. That was yours. And comedy. So I was like, okay, I'm trusting you, but I'm very scared. But I think that's where you can gain, some of that confidence. And it's such a strange word, confidence.
Yeah.
But I think it's really courage is the important word. Courage to get through something, to only then gain the capability. Once you gain the capability of flying an airplane, you have confidence. So I have confidence now. I didn't have confidence the first time I did it, and you're not going to have confidence. So I think people get confused there. I don't think I'm going to be a good violinist. Well, because you haven't started yet.
Right.
It's only till you have the courage to start this and then practice and then get the.
So just do it.
If it speaks to you, yeah.
I jumped out of a plane because I was afraid. I'm alive.
You're alive. You're here.
That's
it's you got to do what makes you afraid, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just living under a rock.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't, and then for any manager, everybody's heard this, but if you're not making any mistakes, you're probably not making any decisions either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we had someone on the podcast, Chris Jester, who said, if you're not uncomfortable, something's wrong.
You're doing something wrong.
You're not
Yeah.
pushing yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
That happens with the gym. If you're, it's just easy. You're just reading People magazine on the treadmill. You're not really getting anywhere.
Yeah.
I got to change my magazine choice.
Okay, so Keith,
Yeah.
if you had a piece of advice to give to any of our listeners listening to this podcast on how they can live an extraordinary life, the Keith Mitnik way, what would that be?
Wow. I think I guess today I like the what we're talking about with having the courage to do what's uncomfortable. That's huge, and we all get comfortable. I'm comfortable now in my life. I think I'm too comfortable. And that's what happens to, I think, a lot of successful it's hard to be a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It's really hard to have two great ideas, but when you have the first one, I'll just give my life as an example. I had to feed my family. I also had this massive urge to get out of industry. I didn't want to be in a cubicle anymore. I was living in a cubicle, 9 to 5 plus, it's really never 9 to 5. And you're a slave to other people making decisions. And so I had a huge motivation to get out of that life. And then a huge motivation to feed my family.
Yeah.
Those two things are gone, because now, with any additional venture, I'm not in that world, and I can, I'm financially secure where that's, feeding the family isn't a thing. So, there's that. And then I think, following your heart. So, really feeling what's a good fit with people. And I mean, for my business, the number one thing that has helped my business is focusing only on the right customer, knowing what people talk about niching, de-niching, that could all fit into this framework as well, but knowing who your right customer, where do you make money? What are you really good at doing? Who are you really good at serving?
Yeah.
And if you haven't already saturated that market, stay in that market. One of the things I did, early on in my career is, was working for somebody else. I said, I want to grow this business. I'm going to go, do this in Europe as well. So I created a business unit in Europe, and that way, it looked like growth. I didn't saturate America. It's 10 times one. The market in Europe isn't as strong for, electronic components, and it's much, much harder. It's over a pond, and there's, cultural differences. There's all, it didn't make sense. So figure out your niche, and until that's fully exploited, I think stay there.
Yeah. Until that's fully exploited, stay there, follow your heart. and have the courage.
Yeah.
Keith, thank you so much. You can read more about Keith Mitnik at joinextraordinary.com. That's joinextraordinary.com. As always, I'm Forbes Shannon.
I'm Christine Butler.
Keith Mitnik.
Thanks for being here,
Yeah,
man.
thanks for having me. It's fun.
And don't forget to get his book, whether you're going through a divorce or you're running a business. Pick up his book.
Why change? Yeah. Cool. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.